hold it heavier.
Okay, go ahead.
Hi. Okay, welcome aboard, all you ground troops spinning around smartly on the planet. We're having an easy day today with my good friend from Maui, Hawaii, Janet Carroll Lesson. We always gave her the proof of the Ascension Center Network and the Psychic Channel Network. And we have those all over Facebook and the YouTubes. And so today we've got a new show called Hybrid Genies, Saturday, 4 o'clock Central, 5 Eastern, and I think that's 11 in Hawaii. So everybody welcome. And Janet Carroll Lesson's going to take us on an adventure today. And if you want to know what hybrid genies are, then stick around because we're going to get into some heavy conversations that we like. And we know we're not for everybody, but we are self aware. And I don't know what all Janet has in store, but I'm sure it'll be fun. So turn it over to Janet Carroll Lesson, and she's an author and writer and producer and director and everything else you can imagine that takes up what we do here online. Uh-oh, Janet, you
Oh,
made it
yep, I,
smaller.
I put it smaller because I'm going to show our slideshow. Now,
Oh,
I
okay.
actually had three, but two of them aren't right. I'm trying to restructure them as we're going. We're going to multiplex or whatever, multiflex. I'm going to
Yeah.
multitask. That's the word, multitask. Anyway, we started last week. Let me go to see if I can read the show page.
I'm going to say hi,
Um,
everyone, in case we didn't
Say
tell
hi.
everybody
Hold
we're
on.
coming.
Oh, well, we're here, everybody. We're here.
Yeah.
Last week, let me get to the show page. Hold on. I gotta pull up. There we
Mine's
go.
showing on American News Magazine and American Communications Online. That's two of my
Right.
YouTube
So we
channels.
broadcast under Aquarian Media.
Aquarian
It used
Radio.
to be Aquarian Radio, but since we're now doing audiovisual, we switched to media. Okay, here's a little. In last week's broadcast, Teresa and Jana opened the story of Thomas R. Morse, Commander Tom Bradley, Sarah, Gus the Galaxy Universal Shuttle, and the Great Council. This week they moved deeper into the message itself by working through the 6 commands given aboard Gus and examining what those commands mean for humanity now. So Teresa's going to speak to her experience carrying the Gus story forward for more than 3 decades, and Janet will bring in her Anunnaki scholarship. Well, we're going to focus on Gus, but yeah, we'll do some things on the Anunnaki and the larger cosmological framework that places contact councils, ancient memory disclosure, and civilization choice into one gigantic unfolding story. Let's see, Teresa, who's known as TJ, and I, Janet, will explore how the expanded close encounter scale now moves beyond sightings and secrecy to the AI era. CE 8 addresses witness archives, AI assisted testimony, preservation, and pattern recognition. CE 9 brings disclosure into law, institutions, media, public records, and accountability. And CE 10 asks whether humanity can become mature enough to participate in a larger cosmic civilization without surrendering compassion, truth, freedom, memory, or soul. Anyway, I'm not going to read all this because that's boring, but let's go to the slideshow and we'll see where this got us last week. We stopped short of part 3. We ran out of time. So Teresa's story was about going on board a spaceship. So Teresa, this ship, how did you get on board the big mothership?
Well, it's interesting because so many people right now are talking about ships, how they get there, and how it's done exactly. And to tell you the truth, it leaves you with a feeling that it's not in the consciousness and it's an interdimensional travel. But, if you were in a court of law, it'd be hard to explain the transformation. But
Mm-hmm.
memories change over time, and that's been proven. So, I, I know that this reality exists here. We call it the third dimension in the
Mm-hmm.
present. and the CE3 being observed is it watches us, we watch it. But to travel, I had to work with the government and a level with Tom that's very rare and very, very different than most people may relate to in their dreams or their semagog, or what do they call it, hypnagogic state above your
Mm-hmm.
lucid dreams. And right now we're working at the neuro level with AI because AI can do what I experienced. And it can take you just like Second Life, or if you've ever done any video games. I believe that all of this reality that we're in now is to prepare us for what happened to me. And I believe it happens to all of us, that we're all phase spacers, we're all interdimensional travelers,
Mm-hmm.
and we can reach another level in space. But to tell you the truth, Janet, all those are now memories stored in the way that I see it now may not be exactly as it happened, but the
Well, see,
transform.
everything is a reflection of the now, and that's why we can theoretically, hypothetically, change the future and the past and the present. We can change things because it's all through the observer participant. So we're the observer, we're the witness of existence, and everything's like the taking a piece of the elephant. So we all have our perspectives. Some have the trunk, the analogy about the elephant in the room. So as you're telling your story now about something you witnessed when you were, or experience, your lived experience when you were 4 or 5 or 6, it changes as a function of the now. And even your perceived future. That's why prophecy is not 100%. It's like, oh, that was close, but it was a miss, right? So when you're saying that, what I get you're saying is that you have your memories. So we really don't ever have the truth. We have a variation on the theme, right? So what we're doing, all of our the experiencers, the people who go through hypnosis, they who spontaneously remember things, all these people that have experiences, we're getting them down because they are our stories in a continuum of existence. And the theory that I've followed is that every time you have a variation on the theme, it spins off another multiverse universe, another. So what makes a multiverse universe prominent is that people focus on it. So the Christian religion and the Muslim and the Buddhist and all these religions had people focused on one perspective. They had a consensus reality within the greater humanity consensus reality. And so that became their belief, their perspective, their operating system, whatever. So all we can do as people that are living through time and going through life is the best we can do, right? So we're not asking you to stand up in a court of witnesses, although in the courts, testimonials, people come up and say, I swear, I verify this. They can actually get people, killed, put in jail for life, all kinds. So testimonials are viable. But for now, we're just telling our stories. It's our lived experience. And whether somebody else chooses to believe or not, that's up to you. But we're just presenting our experiences. And I've had many, many alien encounters and all kinds of things, just like Teresa. We're focused on Teresa this week and probably another week or two. We're going to rotate, go back and forth, and then but both of us our stories overlap, even though we didn't know each other until we were in our 30s or 40s or early 50s. I don't know. We met several times, and then we went apart with our lives, and we came back. And I'm sorry, I have a little bit of sinus problems today. So go ahead, continue your story, but I
It's
think
a
that's what you're
strange,
trying to say. Yeah.
yeah, it's a strange way to meet somebody, but one might say the UFO community. And Janet and I had met in Hawaii without realizing until we put our stories together with Dr. Lesson and me going to her house, and Dr. Sturgis, Laura Sturgis,
Mhm.
and Psi seminars, and then your spiritual center. And we were walking the same truth. And she would go down to the psychic. So she was tracing what journey would be, my journey was the same. And so we crossed paths. And this is what we wound up teaching others while we were working with conscious, subconscious, and superconscious, is what we called it in the 90s. And it grew into the ascension. And when I was sent to Hawaii, I was in government, but they say I was strictly active duty reservist in training. And I was like, well, why are they putting all this money into me, millions of dollars, after I came in from Africa? But I had already had extraterrestrial experiences as a child with these orbs that helped me when I died, and they picked me up off of the ground. I had already died in a hospital. So in this is an overlapping story of my life where these orbs, which I didn't know what they were, but I had died and seen pictures like in this sketch up here, like Janet showing the 12, we could say the
Right.
Ennead 9, but some people chose last week to make the Ennead 9 the Supreme Allied Council of 12. And I can't tell you where all these thoughts come from, but that they were very, very real to me.
Right.
And even though I knew they weren't possible as a child that see beings, I had left my body. So, talking to a neuroscientist, if they asked me when was the first time I left my body, not astrally, but in death, near death experiences, was in the second grade. And then it took me several months because of hepatitis to learn to walk and talk again. And these beings that one might say ghosts are ephemeral, are plasma beings. We're looking for new words to discuss something that is just like this picture I'm looking at. I can see overlapping pictures that to me have always been there in my mind and can come and go. So there's the 3D reality that when I was sick and I couldn't walk and I was put in a hammock outside in the backyard, there were trees, it was shady, it was the summer, probably around May. I had been in the hospital during the last 8 weeks of my second grade, and so they brought me my papers, but I had hepatitis A, infectious, turned yellow. They took all the blood out of my body and tried to clean it with a machine up from New Orleans, something new. And I guess when they took all the blood out of my body to try to clean it, due to my whole body and my eyes yellow, and I was constantly throwing up, nauseous, and they wanted to heal me, is when I crossed over the first time over my bed in the hospital and saw these beings. So already, I don't know if that was before 57 or during the 57 when Sputnik came over, but
Right.
I do know that that's when I had seen beings growing up. So like
And I
Janet
had the
probably,
same experience. You and I were both early contactees. We've had experiences going back to the crib. What was when you were when you were witnessing the beings that you saw when you were under 10 years old?
yes.
Were they anything like the ones that we have out there now in the cosmology of alienology? Were they like
No,
the Greys or something? What would describe
like
your
this.
beings?
They were like the angel being, blue being that was coming across a video, but they were real. So, oops, you lost the picture.
No,
The
I just
one
wanted
in
to
your
show
picture.
you your angel being. So that's great. I love that image. So they were angelic, and did they have wings?
No, no,
No.
I would strongly suggest that the wings were taken from the history of trying to show people in art in the old on this planet the difference between those that were divine and those that were angelic beings. They made the artist rendition is what it's called. They would add the wings to inform people looking at the art which were human and reality and which were divine beings, because there's always been divine beings.
Right.
And I went and studied art in Europe when I was investigating, and went to all the different places, and I learned a lot, and I saw a lot of art. I wish I hadn't seen it, because once you see it, you can't see it. There's a lot of
Oh,
bloody,
yeah, you
terrible
can
art
unsee it,
too in the
right?
church. And yeah, you can't unsee it. So seeing this picture with me and a visual of Tom from the rear, it's
Right.
very similar to how he was. Now, me, I was taller, and at the time, my hair was this color white, but I like
Yeah.
to think of myself as a blonde, because sometimes I would
Your
put
hair
blonde
was,
color.
when did your hair go white?
Oh, that was when I had watched a movie about a girl seeing her hair turn white, and I'll be damned if just one day it feels like I woke up and my hair was white. But I know
Wow.
it went from a brunette, and I know I had dark hair because when I was 32, I went back. I was a rehire in the Navy, active duty, and my hair, when they made you chop it all off, the girls did it. We all
Uh-huh.
did it in K-089 in Orlando in boot camp. We had to cut our hair. They said, cut it or we're going to cut it for you. So when I cut it,
Wow.
I didn't see any white. It was all brown, naturally
Uh-huh.
brown. So you probably have the only picture of me in my uniform when I was active duty. And I was
Oh, yeah,
active
we
duty,
have
but they
that,
give me
but
no credit. Yeah, I get absolutely no credit at all for ever being, because I was in the I had
you were
signed government
intelligent. Yeah.
papers uh, earlier. So that's how I know I was a rehire. And the day I came in, and then when I went to the CIA on a Thursday, and the girls sitting outside on a smoke break, two girls, that we were all walking in, and she was talking about how strange we looked because we were going through our polygraphs or something, and they gave us a small break or something, or maybe it was the doctor part of it. The first 2 days are grilling you and your how do you write and your background and going through your physical, and then you get your polygraph exam. But the girl told me, she just mentioned this. Well, how are you rehearsed doing? I said, what? She said, how are you rehearsed? I was walking with several, but nobody else stopped because they were going in the glass door, I guess, to go back upstairs. Just picture any office building for Langley, lots of glass. And it was, they would have these certain buildings where they drive us around in a bus, and then they'd take us. You never knew where you were, but you got
Right.
per diem for it, for being there. So that's how I knew this is weird, but I'm not going to get active duty. And they asked me if the CIA could buy my contract from the Navy. So that's how the Navy got involved in my life,
Hmm.
was during this process of doing extraterrestrial work. And
Right.
I had met J. Allen Hynek at that time. But the reason I wanted to go back
Oh, here, let's,
to the orbs and as a child was
there's J. Allen Hynek.
yeah, I met J. Allen Hynek later, but I had already had experience and had
You know
already
what?
written to him.
Do you know what year you met? You met him on a plane. I met him in 74 and 75 at the Star Trek conferences in New York City. He may have come to the Pittsburgh one, but I'm not sure. And it's hard to find those records now, but it's kind of incomplete. We didn't have computers back then. But he was on
Yeah,
a panel with Isaac Asimov, Robert Heinlein, Gene Roddenberry, and J. Allen Hynek. And
wow.
they used to have other people too, like writers for the show or this and that, but they would focus on where are we going. So in the 70s, early 70s, it's like we have this Star Trek future universe, and how are we going to take this technology and these sociological advancements, being um, equal with aliens and extraterrestrials and treating everybody as sentient and conscious. How are we going to make that future. And here we are. I'm 72 years old, and we're living in that future, right? And
Yeah, I'm gonna be
it's like,
75,
yeah, you're
and
coming
this
up,
is like we were in the 30s trying to tell this story, but we couldn't make it all happen because we were living it. And when you're living it, it's amazing. And you try to
right.
put all the pieces together that don't fit. So,
Well, that's because we have two realities. We have the reality that the average human has, right? We have this program that we're given, and here's what reality is, and it's like this narrow vision of reality. But then we have all these extraterrestrial programs and advanced technology programs that are going on behind the scenes. And you and I walked in both these worlds, right? You were more
yes,
formal. You were in the military. I was a civilian working for the military, but it's once
you're
you're in,
still
you're
a
always in.
contractor. Yeah,
Right,
but tell them who the big contractor for Janet was Raytheon. And
right.
then
I worked for
her little
Raytheon.
company was the staffing for the Hawaii
Right,
to go over, and that was a smaller company, but it was still owned. Raytheon had the contract that Janet
right.
did. And then what's the name of that company that staffed
Kalama
you?
Services, and I don't even know if they're still
Kalama.
existences.
But you can find it.
Kalama. Yeah.
You can still find it. The AI hasn't wiped it out or the
Okay, it's still
past.
there.
So, but you need
And
to
as far
find
as I
that
know, that was the only year they had the staffing
Kalama.
contract. But it could go back and forth. Every year, the government, different agencies had to bid for the contract for Johnson Atoll. And they would be awarded it. And then they would be sending back personnel and bringing in new personnel. So I got to come in because I was part of the restaffing. But there were still some that stayed overlapping. And then that was the above ground program. And then they were just like at Montauk. There was people who had their day jobs, but then they had the underground facility. And where I worked, we sometimes had the mine wipes, and I'm sure you had the same thing where you
Oh,
didn't need to
I
carry
did.
them.
I know I
Yeah.
did. I was out in denial when I went into the room in Fort Hood, and I had volunteered myself to go after someone, and I created my own reality. I told the guy from the Pentagon he worked there on base, and he had a room full of magazines, and he had the big television, and he stayed in a hotel, but somehow the government fixed it where they turned it into this cool, I don't know, office
Uh huh.
above the hotel outside of Killeen, or outside of, excuse me. Then it was called Fort Hood. So
Right.
I'm of Denver, Colorado, and we got to remember what it was called back then. Do you remember where J. Allen Hynek came to talk to me? He came to Denver,
Uh
and it
huh.
was before he got, well, I think it was during the time he was sick with cancer. Now, since
Right.
I've
Yeah.
talked with Jan Aldrich and so many other people, because he died in 86, I think, and I met him in
Right.
85. Where are we going with this? Because it's all over
Okay.
the
Well,
place in my mind.
let's just kind of track. Yeah, we'll just try to.
Yeah,
This is
because,
what happens because we
yeah,
segue.
I'm in
Because
all these different places.
once we start
Yeah.
talking about it, our memories start activating.
Lowry. Okay, so I was
Lowry,
sent to Lowry Air Force Base. Somebody write that down for me.
write it down.
But
Whoever's
I
listening,
don't
write it
know if
down.
our history will help these Gen Zs or not. But the millenniums and the Gen Zs have a whole different reality, and they were brought up playing video games, so they know
Right.
much better than we do that how the mind can play tricks on you, and also how you can experience video
Or
games
maybe
so
you're just
much
opening.
that you
Maybe you're
feel
just
like
opening.
you're in
Maybe
that game.
you're just portal jumping. I mean, it's
Portal
why think
jumping.
it's only one reality. You could be going from one to the other timeline. I've experienced that. And if you focus on it, that becomes your operating system. And if you decide, this is why you're the chooser. You're always the chooser. If you don't like what you're experiencing,
Change it.
change it. And we
We
talked
were
about
taught that
power of
motivational
prayer
speaking.
right before you came on. Both Teresa and I had this excruciating back and pain and down my legs and this and that.
Oh
And
my God,
and
you know
I
it's
wanted to
awful.
share with you that I've had some relief this week. Now, is that the power of
Uh,
prayer?
yeah.
Am I doing something right? I'm not sure, but when you have these things, you don't get a diagnosis. You keep going to the doctors, and it's like, well, I really don't know, but let's try this and let's try that. It drives you crazy. I can't wait for we get the biomed tech and the because you and I have seen the technology of the future, and it exists now, but our governments are not letting this out. Um, it's like a race against the clock. If we can get all the technology, we can all live to be 150. I talked to Aubrey DeGray, who was part of the Methuselah and another foundation. And he said, we have the potential of living thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years, but we've got to get to escape velocity. If we can get the technologies in place, and there are people alive today, he said, that will live to be 1,000. And if we live to be 1,000, we can basically reach escape velocity. And so the Anunnaki story is very viable because they basically lived to be hundreds of thousands of years. And if you trace back the story to when they came to the earth 450,000 years ago, they could hypothetically be millions of years old. So the potential of being alive in a physical body is not limited by the 150 years that the Bible gives us. But I don't really know anybody that's lived to be 150 years. So we have these stories which kind of become what we believe, and what we believe we create. But the theory is if you alter your beliefs, you can create a different reality. And there are people that cure cancers and survive things that they do based on what they believe, and some people can manifest it. And that's what we're talking about, hybrid genies, the magic part.
Yes.
The part.
And it is. I've always believed in magic and what it can be. And then that was what my code name was, Magic.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And that was amazing to me. I have so many, I don't know what you'd call them, parallel things, words, dimensions,
synchronicities.
I just want to commend you, Janet, on this collage. I mean, I know that you get a little help, but me looking at J. Allen Hynek, it's almost like he's staring into my soul.
Yeah.
That was an excellent picture of him. And now I'm going to say something that is very hard for me to understand. A man, if you see the man in the dark suit above holding the picture, that's J. Allen Hynek, but put a hat on him. And so there's a man watching a UFO also that has a hat.
Right. And he wore a hat a lot of times, yes.
Okay, so when I met him, he had a hat on in a car in the 80s at Lowry Air Force Base. And I'm pretty sure he was with the Air Force somehow and through contracts, because why would a man that looks like him, and he may have said his name, but I don't understand. I met him also on a jet
right.
plane overhead going from Lowry Air Force Base to Chicago O'Hare with him on the same plane. And I don't understand. Why does my mind not understand?
Well, they probably orchestrated it. As you know, a lot of our meetings are not random. There's doing some orchestration behind the scene to get you to meet the right people at the right time.
Yeah. Well, the man that I believe was J. Allen Hynek in the dark suit wearing the hat, I'm pointing, folks. I know you can't see me pointing, but that man had that dark suit on, and a hat and a car, like an old Oldsmobile or something. I don't know. It was a government car, probably black. But he took me out I was by myself in uniform.
Wow.
And he took, I got to wear my Navy uniform because I was Navy inside the Air Force office where I was working on classified documents, because that was my training, was to do intelligence work in the IS, and classified and secret, and how to get into each one and all that. So I was being trained there and at night. So some people know about the night training in the Air Force,
right?
And learning how to see the tops of buildings, and also design of spacecraft versus extraterrestrial. So
Right.
this was a thing at Lowry Air Force Base. So I'm admitting it to you now that we were watching UFOs and making sure we knew the difference between those with wings and those that were not, or not of Earth origin.
Right. Yeah.
And so at night, somehow they had speakers in our pillow. I'm not saying I didn't feel for it, but that we were told speakers in our pillows. Plus, they would play videos somehow, and we would help know. And then during the day, I'd go back and I could go this, that, and the other, and know. I'm like, how do I know that? So that's the type of conscious training they were doing. And J.
Right.
Allen Hynek gave me my Q clearance to work in nuclear. You get a Q, which
Uh-huh.
I thought was the strangest. I mean, I was looking at confidential, secret, top secret in the office there. You know, these paperwork had to go in certain red or black cover files at the Lowry Air Force Base. And then here comes a man in a suit that they said is very important, and I had to go with him. And he had information for me, and he took me out in his car from the office, out where nobody was. I mean, it was really private, to tell me that I got a Q clearance. And I didn't understand. I said, what do you mean Q? I can see confidential, secret, top secret. And I was like, I don't understand. And I remember he said, well, I just want you to remember that you have that. And he told me other things that I don't remember. And I remember I got out of the car and I stood out and I could see over the tarmacs, right? Over, and I was looking out like, what's going on? So I don't know what had been done at that time, but I was part of a conscious effort to train people in extraterrestrial surveillance, and to also, I knew that I had spoken to these little ETs. You've got these little grays.
Yeah.
Those
Let's see if
little
I.
grays had contacted me. He asked me what I called them, and they said Gog and Magog.
Oh.
And I wrote that, and I wrote a letter about it, and I sent it to CUFO, Center for UFO Studies. So he
Uh-huh.
knew. This was before I met him. I wrote the letter about it, the
Uh-huh.
little beings. So that's why, in my mind, at this age, I'm trying to take all the pieces that I never even imagined were the same beings or the same instances, and realizing that all of it was training for working with AI today. Because now I know when we went on this excursion, this spatial portal journey, or in these plasma being balls or whatever they were, that you're able to move from one space to another without the body. And
Right.
that is what a divine being could do. They didn't have to have a 3D body. And when I got up there with Tom after many, many years, I realized when what he was telling me was there's so and so, or there, I met him and he goes to Australia and he's like 4,000 years old. And I was like dropping my jaw because I already, by the time you've got so
Wait,
much,
wait, 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 wait. Stop. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
Tom
what I used
Tom
to do.
went to Australia, and what do you mean he's
No,
4,000 years old?
we were on a spacecraft. This is why I'm
Right.
so hard to follow, because
Well, let's just slow it
it
down,
depends on
unpack
what
it.
goes through my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
But
you
we
you.
were, like you see us in this picture looking at a spacecraft. Well,
Uh-huh.
take those two people and put them on that spacecraft, and then I
Right.
can tell you, Tom was telling me, like in this orb's huge, gigantic reality, like it's like being on Earth, but it's in space, and there's different levels, and there's different glasses like this. Even that
Right.
blue glass is a blue glass that can separate beings like that
Uh-huh.
in a spacecraft. In other words, take this whole picture you did by osmosis or accidental, and that is like you could be looking out and see things like that happening.
Uh-huh. So
But we're
4,000-year-old being. So Tom,
and they would come and go from different
yeah.
realities. And that's how it hit me. I was like looking and going, "What?" They were beings, divine beings, the kind that in the today's,
Right.
they have wings in artist rendition, but they're really just celestial, terrestrial, celestials on Earth, just
Right.
like, you know. Janet, hi, aloha. How are you and Sasha? Hey, there's somebody, Nick,
Yeah,
in here.
Nick Alana. Yeah,
How you
he's a
doing?
good
Hi,
friend.
Nick.
Yeah, I'll say hi.
Well, I
Hi,
guess,
Nick.
hi, Nick. Well, anyway, whoever's supposed to know this stuff will know it, folks. I can tell you, it's been on Earth. I found it. You can find it. But
Well,
my
let me
journey,
go back. Wait, I'm getting
okay.
lost. Okay, I'm getting lost. You said that Tom went to Australia. Oops, back to Tom.
No, he didn't go to Australia. He pointed to a man that was on the spaceship that was
Oh,
4,500 years old that
okay.
was picking, it was his choice to come down to Earth. It was a choice
Right.
to,
So we
and
have
so he
people
was
that
going
are
to
helping
go.
us that are
Yes,
thousands of
they're
years
just like
old, hundreds
us,
of thousands of years old.
walking
They
around
and
Earth.
so did he say
They're
more
from a,
about why he came to Earth to help
they come
us?
down to help. And he was choosing to come to Australia, so he was perfecting his Australian accent.
Oh wow.
So, yeah, I
Well, tell
mean,
me more
it just
about the
about dropped
ship.
my jaw.
Let's focus on. There's two ships. There's Gus, which is this little ship in the middle here, but
Can take you up to the bigger
it's like a
city.
shuttlecraft in Star
Yeah,
Trek
shuttle.
analogy, right?
Yes, yes.
And then there's some
Ship.
other ships, and
Yeah,
I think I read in one of your books that the motherships or some discussion can hold 100 a million
cities.
beings,
Yeah,
a million
cities.
beings.
You can't fathom it till you're there. But then Gus, when he's down here on the planet or underneath, the mountain, uh, working with the government, then he can have a room in his back two fins that's not there, but it's another dimensional. And this is what's so hard for human beings in the program to our space program, or I don't know what they're calling it now. But thanks, Nick, for tuning in. The people keep telling me it's 20-year and back because Cody, no, Corey put that, but I swear
Very
he
good,
got
yeah.
that from us. He got that from my ancient stories and talking to people and typing it for years and
Well,
years.
let's explain what that means.
These are
You
stories.
could simultaneously live your life here and have an experience somewhere else, like another planet. You could be gone 20 years, and
Or
then you
live
get
here
up and
20 years.
or live here. Well, like there's one story, I forget who it was, where the little boy went to bed. He was taken at night. He was gone for 20 years. He came back, went down, got up, went down, and ate breakfast, and he's still a kid going to junior high school or something, right? He had breakfast. So you don't skip a beat in one reality while you're having these experiences in another reality, but they're
Right.
going on
There's a few
simultaneously
seconds.
because there
What
could
they
be, but
told
it's
me,
negligible. Yes.
well, for some reason, at least in the program I was in, not for everybody maybe, but for me, this program we were in was like 1 day equaled 1 week and no wait, 1 second equaled one of our weeks.
Yeah,
I've forgotten, but they couldn't put
it's a
back.
formula. Yeah.
The formula was you may be missing only 15 seconds if you went like 15 weeks, you know.
Right.
So 20 years and back, I don't know how they would do that, but they said it didn't matter what scale they used on time, space, and gravity. There was only a 15-second interval that they don't know why you could be gone 20 years and only miss
Right.
15 seconds. But
Wow.
that 15 seconds was proven through history. There was a police, I mean, we have proof of everything that I experienced, which
Uh-huh.
blows my mind. There's at least two watches that were missing 15 seconds that had extraterrestrial involvement in the stories, that we've lived
Uh-huh.
through by police officers or somebody else.
Well,
They're
let me
missing.
share something relevant to that. I had a friend who was killed in a motorcycle accident. He just blew out. And he was dead. He was being zipped up in the
Body
mortuary. They
bag.
were zipping in the body bag, and he had lived 70 years on another planet. He had lived maybe 80 years. He had lived a whole lifetime. He died of old age on another planet, and only X amount of time passed here in this realm. And then Bob Dean was sick. We were hanging out at a lot of the conferences at the end of his life.
I've seen you with Bob
He,
Dean on several occasions. Yeah.
yeah, so he was he was sick, and he was like in a comatose type state,
Ooh.
and but he was gone much shorter time on Earth. But he said I was up the ship for 2 to 3 weeks.
Did
And
he
he
say
said I
how he got
wanted to
there?
stay. Well, when he was in a coma, he was also on ship,
Yeah.
and he said he didn't want to come back. But they
Right.
said, Bob, you're not done yet. He said, I'm old. I just want to stay here. Can't I just stay here? They said, don't worry, go back. You got some things to finish, and you'll be back again. So he knew that when he finally passed out of his body for good, he was going back on board that ship, and he wanted to
Yeah.
be there.
A lot
So,
of people do that. And so that's just another reality that many of us in the UFO industry or UAP industry now, kids these days, are the government for wanting to change
right,
it to anomalous phenomena or
phenomenon.
phenomenon or phenomena. And there's other acronyms which we use a lot in the government. But where I fit in is Janet was a contractor. I was a contractor, but I also wore a uniform. But I was active duty reservist, and I was in a special access program, a SAP. And I also got told that I worked for the joint, and also was told if I got in a really interesting position that I worked for the State Department. And I did have in the Navy one incident, and the NIS had to call and find out the CIA did vouch for me. And I
Right.
know that happened in this reality. So I was attached probably to Naval Intelligence Service on a high level, just like Bob Lazar, because I saw that paper. There was a paper from the way we used to get our uh, pay. When they were going to electronic pay, everything
Right.
was going to be back in the 90s when he was doing all that. But Sean David Morton did that story as well on Bob Lear and
John Lear.
John Lear and Bob Lazar,
Right.
right? I mean,
Uh-huh.
didn't Sean David?
I didn't track who did what. I thought it
Oh,
might be somebody else, but it's so hard to keep up with all the pieces of this
yeah.
gigantic puzzle with all these people that are in
And
this
we're
field either professionally, or they're just doing it as a hobby, or they're doing it because of their interest. But it's good that we're all tracking this down, and now we're starting to come up with our stories. And we're
and
starting.
we're
I don't think disclosure is going to come from the government. I think it's going to come from within
from us and the
all of
changing the
us.
it's
Right.
gradual with all of us doing it. It will change reality.
It
And if
will.
we do this and tell our truth, it will help some people put the pictures together in whoever's making the videos these days. But
Right.
we know Steven Spielberg has gotten another piece of the puzzle, or
Right.
in his own. I haven't researched it, Janet, to see it, but so you don't have a picture of being on a spacecraft because that would really help.
Of who, you or me, or
All both of us, I
well,
guess, are
this is.
before.
Oh, I did. Let me see. This is you and Tom. Uh,
Yeah, these are
Mainly
beautiful
focus of
folks.
you and Tom. Here's, this here.
Council.
I've been to many council meetings. Many council meetings. You don't just have the council 9 or the Council
Well,
of
you may be
12.
terraforming a planet, which is what it looks like this one's doing with the planet
Right,
in the middle. Maybe they're all discussing what they're going to put on the planet. It can be anything from terrain to animals to
right.
which species they're going to put. I really strongly
Well,
suggest that that is the way it's done.
I have a past life memory that I retrieved under hypnosis that I came, part of me, part of my soul came down to do the terraforming of the earth. So that was billions of years ago. But I have this clear memory that came forth, and then I have a continuous, like, went from here to there to there to there. I don't have every single incarnation. I think that's like a huge level to try to remember. But I'm trying to see. Yeah, this is kind of the end of this one. Let's click on this one here. I didn't get to really review all this, so that's not really what we look like. But let's see what they have here. This is I'm going to have the. See, I can go and say no. Let's put Janette and Teresa in this, and I can make my AI correct things. So this is interesting. Now, is that closer to
Yeah,
what Gus looked like?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So explain to our listeners what Gus is. The Galactic Universal
Only a
Galaxy.
galaxy. Yeah, because
Galaxy.
the ship can. He would go to the moon and Mars area and on the dark side of the moon, and that's where that story comes from. But
Right.
here on planet Earth, they couldn't see a lot of things out there, and yet Gus can go from Earth, through interstellar, and that bubble you've got him around him is very important because I
Right.
strongly suggest that science and plasma and the way we go from one dimension to the next, even when we leave our body at death, I believe our last our last breath, that will take our soul, if you will. But
Right.
I strongly suggest that only a piece of us comes down to this planet because
Right.
I can
That's what.
figure out all these levels of my being without realizing, well, that part must come down and learn or do something and go back because that's what these beings were doing in space.
Right.
The ones that we may have thought were divine, and some working with AI already, and it was already a reality on several levels when Sputnik came over. So my childhood was already with a family above, recognizing that we have two families. We have that one
Right.
in space, and that's plenty for a little kid to learn, and then the
Oh,
one
right.
on Earth. So a lot of people like me wound up being later on programmed by authors. Let
Oh
me see if
wait.
I can get
That's. Oh, yes. Okay. Yeah.
star people, right?
And who was that by again?
Brad Steiger,
Brad
Brad and
Steiger.
Francie Steiger. And a lot of people can relate to it.
Right. You got it. Okay.
So that was a little book that got my interest. And then I have one more that got Janet in my interest. Let's see if you can see it.
It's hard because your background makes it blur. There we go. Oh, The Gods of Eden
Yeah, you
by
saw it for a
William
minute.
Bromley. Yes, that's a very important book. That was like a big aha. Although I was reading Sitchin and Von Daniken, for some reason that Bromley book kind of pulled it all together. There we go. There we go. Okay. It doesn't work because of the bear. There you go. You got it right there. Okay, Gods of Eden. Okay, enough. Cool.
All right, so these two are right here by me. And then I'm going to go ahead and show one that happened after uh, after Janet and I met. We started
Okay,
writing books,
keep
and
coming
this
in. Wait, it's
is
not clear. Ah, Spirit Guide. Okay.
yeah,
So
and this
that's
this
the
is
one
the
you wrote, or
one.
is that you wrote
This
that,
one
or
is by Ginger Teresa
by
Parrish
Ginger?
Bowers, my
Yeah.
daughter. And dang it, I wish I could get it
There we go. Right
there.
there. You got it right there. Okay,
Okay,
that's good. Thank you. You
so
got it.
these are right here close to me, but we also responsible with her husband and Karen Kirkpatrick that came on our show,
Oh, wait, let's see
we
that.
helped get this one done. And this is by Ken Johnston.
Right. And Sasha did the regression with Ken.
Now, this is all about Sasha, Dr. Lesson taking Ken on a journey uh, during the Apollo era, and it's all just Q&A or voice and voice. And it's called The Regression of a NASA Whistleblower by Ken Johnston. And Janet and I had the opportunity to work with him, me and NASA in Houston while my husband worked at NASA. And
Right.
that's a whole nother story. And the command room for Chris Kraft, he was a direct NASA employee, which was very impressive back then. Very few people worked directly for NASA. They were mostly Grumman, TRW, different companies like that. So if you want to know things about life throughout, Janet and I have been collecting data on hybrid intelligence, if you will, and anything of a spiritual or supernatural nature. And we also got started in the Kundalini and how you use the aura and the energy of your spine, and all the old Middle Eastern brought over to Western with Dr. Lesson, who always taught that. And
we were teaching Tantra when I met Dr. Lesson. We were
classes on
Tantra, but then we started into the ancient anthropology and studying with Sitchin. So Teresa and I are a couple nerds. We love to study.
Yeah, you can tell from those type of books.
Right,
well, you went on conferences. I didn't go. I was an investigator at that time. Remember? Right. So I was on the track for J. Allen Hynek. He wanted me to just keep this going for CUFOS. So right. He brought in a secretary, and I'll be damned if she didn't die. You know, after you and I got started in 2012, Sharon, I think was her name. And I kept saying I was going to bring her on, and I didn't, and now I regret it because she's gone.
She's gone.
At that time, we were going to have a new contract paid, and she was going to work there in Colorado, in Denver, and I was going to be an investigator coming and going on what's real, you know. But you also know Paola Harris worked for him. Paola.
Right.
Paola,
okay, so I'm going to quickly look through this slide. Okay. We'll probably have to cover this next week. I'm going to make
AI does not replace the witness. That's good. Right. Because AI is figuring out, and it's highly intelligent because through all the years that it's worked with us. But humans up in space work with it and use it, including those that help us.
Well,
so we will be going there again. And some of us have been allowed to see the future. And usually if you had a knack for seeing the future, or you had a alternate encounter or a close encounter, the government knows all this already. So you're not going to teach the government in any country something that's outlandish. But even the FBI had a paranormal desk, but they didn't know what to do with it other than to collect. And I know because I worked with them for years. Over time, they just collect the facts. Of course, they did have law enforcement. They could, do other things, which they did, and sheriffs. But mostly people that collected stories, artifacts, affidavits, were trying to get the who, what, when, where, why, how many, how come, and put all the stories together. So we have the Center for UFO Studies, which was more about scientists and researchers with J. Allen Hynek. And then we had Mutual UFO Network, which started from a gentleman in Wisconsin, but he was with the Carl Lawrenson and her husband in Wisconsin that studied the first stories up in Wisconsin. And that's where Mutual UFO Network comes from, MUFON, if any of you guys have heard about it. So Hybrid Genies crosses over into the future of terraforming other planets, right. Travel in plasma and interdimensional travel, and accepting that there are ships up there that we can come and go to, and we can just take these little shuttles that'll put us in, and it doesn't affect our breathing, our how we. It's like you don't even, you may feel a little bit like on an elevator, but you can't tell if you're going up or down.
Right. Yeah.
So that's just something that happens in this phase spacing. Then you have the levels of existence, and we most of us have to have 6 to 8 hours sleep. I have to have at least 10 usually because of
Wow.
all the work I do. But Janet, I sleep a lot, and it just drives my sister crazy.
Yeah,
Everything I
but
do drives
you
her
have to honor
crazy.
your own body. Yeah.
But the future does look a lot prettier, a lot more terraformed, and that super glass we keep seeing, the blue glass, I don't know what
Uh-huh.
we're going to call it, but you can see they use it in this picture like on computers. They don't even have anything behind the screens anymore. So I don't
Right.
know what we're going to call that glass intelligently, but I know in AI we have the weighting of the AI, the weights of the uh, neurobrain
Are
level
you hearing
of
a
AI.
sound? Oh,
Excuse me?
never mind. I think one of my fans is acting up, making noise, but I can't. I discontinue. I didn't know if it was feedback that I was getting, but anyway, we're
I
getting
don't
towards
see
the end.
you.
You don't see me?
I don't see you anymore.
Oh, let me. Oh, here.
There we
There
go.
we are.
Okay.
All
Uh,
right.
this translation you've got here, how do you want to talk about this AI tier? Because we use all levels in space, but see how you perceive it.
Well, I see. Right now, we're used to looking at computers on the screen. It's going to be more interactive. Oh, there. The noise stopped. Whatever was going on, it was a strange noise. Anyway,
I didn't hear it.
you didn't hear it. I did on this end. It was
Well, you've
getting
got
louder.
signal sorting up here. So you got
Yeah.
signal sorting, translation, pattern analysis,
Right.
human ethics,
So
which right now security and hurry up and getting things done faster is the competition of the AI wars in this. Yes, there are AI wars, and don't let anybody tell you they're not because they're,
what do you mean by AI wars? Tell us about that.
well, between countries. Right
Oh,
now,
between countries.
China and America, USA to get the best because security versus intellectual property and who's getting fastest AI, the largest built, the largest neurobrain, the one that has all of our stuff in it. But the weights of the how much do we analyze? How much do we think is real intelligence? How much is stored information, the data that we can use? And right now, it's as usual between politics or those that align with the beings, how they're going to be having governed cultures. And yet, security wants to know if anything that comes to this planet has nuclear level. And so the countries want to control nuclear for that reason because of the new AI technology that's coming in from space that people like us that already have been around it and they have not, they know a lot of us exist globally
So
because
what
we've
is
been
it? What is
trained.
it? What is it with nuclear? Just because it can blow up, or why are ET so concerned? And
Nuclear
why are they
is
bringing
in
them to
everything.
Earth? It's in
Everything
everything. Right.
everything is nuclear and they take parts of it to rebuild everything else. And that imagination is this planet species in the various levels of existence or traveling astrally or intelligent wise on the planes, like levels of education, intelligent towards the culture, but they don't want to really get rid of all the cultures, at least not from what I can see in space. They've kept most of those that are on the planet alive for thousands of years by
Right.
keeping them separate, sort of like the Tower of Babel. And of
Uh huh.
course, we have to address all the stories that have been left papyrus or fired clay tablets or all of that. We have to address all those. And that's why the cultures are so separate. But the ones that seem to make it are the ones always that can terraform other planets. So we're going to be working towards that. But unfortunately, there's still the faction of beings in space that always seem to make it through the various levels of existence. And we'll call them a faction that doesn't want to play nice or wants to control the others in nuclear fusion, or factions are the levels of infinity that can be stored in secret space or in what we call 0 point energy. So,
So these factions, we have the polarity paradigm. Our universe seems to exist on, or at least this part of the universe.
this is how we exist and how we learn.
We have
yeah.
this. It's like a game within a game, or the dream within the dream. So we come down and we play this game, which has all its parameters, the operating system, and the rules, regulations. And part of it is like, this time I'll be the villain, and this time I'll be the hero, and it will be people in between. And it seems every time we come into an incarnation, we take these rules, we learn lessons, and we can either stay in the game, come back again. Some people like to play the game over and over and over with thousands of incarnations. Some people like to move forward and they go to the higher level, like you talked about the gentleman that was learning how to speak Australian, right? And he's 4,500 years old. And he says, well, I'm going to come back in and help, because the game gets pretty dark and we almost blow ourselves to smithereens over and over again. But we seem to survive. A faction of us always survives, and humans can breed pretty fast and replace the population. But to me, it's like it's cruel. And I keep asking, well, when are we going to have I'll get to the ahimsa. Where's ahimsa?
Well, they've still got the 9
do no
levels.
harm. Yeah.
Do you know about the 9 levels, Janet, or only the 7?
They're not on my scale here, but what are the 9 levels here?
Oh, commands. Oh, okay. Yeah, let's do no harm. Yeah, that's a big one right there. Thou shalt do no harm. Or you've got command 6, harm none. Now, did you change that from the world?
This was a collaboration with what we put in last week and this week, and you said some things about ahimsa. You said that originally, but I always talk about do no harm. So if I'm going to do something, it's like, well, do I kill the mosquito? Well, it's going to bite me, and then I'm going to be, have all this. Anyway, so there's all kinds of levels, but it especially comes human to human. I try to feel the apparent other as if they were myself, and it's like, how will what I do or say, or my behavior affect them? Include them in my worldview, and then can I be loving, kind, and compassionate, have empathy for them? And I think that's the path to consciousness. When you start to feel the other as you do thyself, then you will start becoming aware that my words and actions have consequences. And it's like the butterfly effect. If I do something minor here, does it expand, especially whatever, exponent? I can't talk today. But anyway, does it expand to continue into the whole continuum and create harm for somebody else on the other side of the planet, right? And I think that's what war is.
This is the future, like in 57 maybe, of the United Nations. It's like the world map behind the gentleman in the middle. So I guess 30 take at least 35 years for the United Nations to accomplish this. I have at least the power of 12 over 50 nations, but we have 251 countries at the present. Is that the truth?
I don't know.
Or two of them aren't in it. 249, and 2 of them aren't in the United Nations. I don't know.
All
folks.
Right. Well, let's start to wind this up, because we like to keep our shows about an hour.
Well, where are you? I can't see you.
Oh, here, I'll put us back in. Hold on. Where are we? We are back here.
All right, put us back. Split this one off, and let's get us back where I can see you. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
here, let's
better.
see.
Now I can
You
see
like
you.
this one here? I like this one. This one fills up the
Oh,
screen.
ooh,
There
okay.
we are.
Well,
There
all
we
right.
are. Big.
Well, we're only agreeing, Janet and I, it's so hard because we used to have a lot more time daily for each other, but now our lives are physical, and she's a caregiver to her 86-year-old
No, no.
husband,
No,
84.
he's better do better than me. He can still walk up and down the stairs without a cane. I'm
Ha-
walking with a cane now. My 77-year-old sister has dementia, so a lot of my
77-year-old. When
my
would
life.
Louise, when's her
Huh?
birthday? When's her birthday?
January 21st,
Oh,
1949.
she's an Aquarian,
Yeah,
49.
we're all for a while there. All the girls who were born in my family were Aquarians. We have
Wow.
like 6 or 7 Aquarians, and they get down to the grandchildren level. Then it was all scattered, but it was like another Aquarian. Wow, that was amazing.
Yeah.
So, and my
Well,
niece was born on my sister's birthday. But so go ahead. What were you going to say?
I'd like to continue meeting with you on Saturdays. That was a convenient time. I guess it
Okay,
messes up my families when they go to the winery, but that's okay on Saturday. I go during the week. But Jen, I also want to help other humans.
right,
But I guess you want to get us through all these levels that we use and sleep and hypnagogic. I guess you'd say the transformative, and we
right.
didn't even cover that story I sent you with being off planet and how they called me the one of the planet of love when I was, and I guess that's what brought me back here to
Right.
this reality because they told me I was on a vacation in this reality. And I was like,
Oh, you're on vacation.
on vacation from working with these women, and we're all like, we're huge. We're tall, I'm five
Uh-huh.
10 now, but I was 5'11. But I'd wear my boots and I'd stand 6'2" among most men, and big. We're Amazons, and I was called an Amazon most of my life.
And
But
I'm the little tiny people
you were
in my
tiny. You
family.
were, yeah, the little five
Yeah,
feet or
I was
less.
at 5'2". I was on the tall end. My dad was only like 5'5" or something. My brother 5'4", 5'5", and
It's very
my
short for a man.
my nephew is 5'2". He's a full grown man. He's 5'2". My grandmother, or my my mother's Ocean was on my father's side. She was only 4'9", and her sister was like 2 feet tall, a little bit over 2 feet tall. So we had the real tiny, tiny people, only 2 feet tall.
Yeah,
And
Ireland
so
has a lot of
I
the
have
tiny
dwarfism in
people.
my family. And so, but even with that, we're pretty small,
Well,
all of
we can
us.
talk about all of that, folks
Right.
living on Earth now in whatever body you're in and whatever journey
Right.
you're on. But I'll always consider that I have a family that raised me here. My mother and father passed. I
So
live
do
with
my
my sister
parents.
now and her husband at my age of 70. I'll be 75 December. I'm going on one more cruise, and that might be my last because of my back injury, or really my back's just giving out 3, 4, 5 look like stair steps. So I'm going to the doctor, the second surgeon. The first one says, "Oh, you're too bad. We can't fix you." So I've been doing a lot of praying. So because the pain was horrendous it's
Right.
unbelievable. So what we want to do here is keep us alive and keep meeting here and keep that CE10 question, what civilization will we choose? But the six commands in CE10, Janet, that's good focus for us, is keeping us
Yeah.
knowing that this is a main theme. And then if we can, I don't know how to do it, Janet, but you could focus on once in a while is where we have people call in and we help them. Like there's so many
Not
psychics
sure
out
how to
there.
do that unless we go into like a class. Then they can
Well,
participate that way.
hybrid genies can have, we can
Yeah,
give
we could have
the
people come in
future.
and ask questions if you want to. I think we could
Yeah.
fit 10 on the stage at the same time. But this whole thing about CE10 here, CE10, yeah, I think from what I've been taught by my interactions with ETs all my life, is that, well, if you're complaining about it, Janet, just do something else. You are the chooser. On some level, you're choosing all this. So don't play victim. Don't show up whining and moaning and growing and playing. Change your reality. And I think that's the whole uh, message behind that, CE10. What kind of future do we want to choose for all of humanity? Well, I personally don't like to see all this bombing and blowing up people and dying in horrendous ways, and dying from diseases and the disease of old age. Having been in this, whatever you call it, the secret space program, I have seen cures for all diseases. There's tech fixes, there's spiritual fixes, there's fixes for everything that ails us. I'm tired of withholding this information that can cure all cancers and all diseases.
Where'd you go?
Technology. Oh, here we go. Sorry, I'll
How
go
do you
back
keep
here.
this? How do you
Because
keep
I'm
this
flipping it off and on. Because I was going to show the CE10. So I'm tired of people. It's unnecessary for us on this level. With how old humanity is, we're hundreds of thousands of years old. We've had a lot of intervention. We've had a lot of hybridization. We've had genetic manipulation. We've had the truth withheld. But the truth right now, not the truth, but this variable, this truth of higher level existence and awareness. I think Roddenberry, Hynek, and Asimov and Heinlein and a bunch of others started it back in the 60s. And here we are. We were children back then, and now we're old ladies. And I'd like to see this happen. And I'm here to educate people that this is happening on this extraterrestrial, interdimensional, spiritual level. And we are the genies that can bring it down and overlay it over this existence and create this win for all for everybody. It's time for a win for everybody. And then we will graduate and join the Federation and become spacefaring beings just like all the other beings out there. But there's always been that little warring faction, but we don't have to participate in the warring faction. We could say no to war, to violence, and demand that we get full, authentic disclosure, right? Not just this BS that they're handing us, little lights in the skies or little tic tacs. No, it's much bigger than that. It's huge. I can't begin to tell you how many experiencers I've talked to. Many have passed over.
Well, get bigger. Make yourself bigger so I can see you.
Bigger. Here we go.
You got to realize you got to realize we're not on TV. Okay. We're on the computer.
Okay,
and you
so
keep
now
going
we're here.
Tiny, and I can't see.
So let's wrap this up because we can do more next week.
And,
we're going to do this again next Saturday, but go ahead.
All right. Well, however, genies can have psychic style. Okay, I'm saying the psychic genies can have intuitive guides, symbolic interpreters, and AI-assisted consciousness. Okay, and that helps create creativity, self-reflection, and spiritual storytelling. Down to the next one, storytelling and future planning, stronger canon version. However, genies are the intuitive oracle class of the vivarium, meaning everything we create. Are part human, imagination, part AI, pattern recognition, part mythic guide. And then we go to the next one. Serving as psychic style translators between inner knowing, symbolic language, dreams, ancestral memory, which we have, ET consciousness themes, and practical earth action, reality layers, established layer. So did you get the next one, or is that it?
No, I didn't get the next one.
All right, so that's plenty for us to think about how to help others and be here and tell our story of many levels of lives. And we'll keep going because, as you can see, no matter what pictures we put up, we're going to talk and share different parts, but we don't know which year, if you're tracking what year that was. So I don't know why the mind does that, but remember.
Well, we're not linear. We're not linear. I mean, look at a good movie. You have the now and then it flashbacks, different stories, and that's what we tend to do. We go back and forth through time. That's more realistic to how humans live their lives. We're flashing back and forth. So, all right. Well, I'm going to wrap this up. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody? And we'll see you next week. Same bat channel.
Okay. Well, It's been enjoyable. We look forward to next week, and we'll keep sharing the parts of us that come and go. And Janet would like to get out the Thomas Morris story, which is not easy because I lived it, and she lived a lot of life with him because from 2012 till 2015 when he died.
Right. He kept coming on our show. He was a very good speaker. He wrote several books. He
Yeah,
was an amazing being. I would like to know more about Tom. I just kind of have what you said about him. He seems to have been some kind of magical person that
I
he
think
got
he
involved with
was.
this in the first place. Like he was, what they did, went into his crib or when he was born, and they altered his DNA. I remember him saying that. And
At that time, for some reason, 59, that's after me, but he swore there was a shot they gave you, the nurses, that they did that. That's how they altered some people for lots and lots of years. But
well, that makes
he
sense
didn't
because there's
say the time.
nanotechnology. There's nanotechnology that could go into a shot. And yeah,
Right when they're born, there's nurse. Some certain nurses do the thing and give them
right.
something. So
Wow.
who knows what
Who
happens, but
knows?
anymore. But we'll discuss a lot of strange happenings in our lives, and they're definitely not in the normal way that we would speak to a doctor or an attorney.
Right. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming
Me
today.
too.
It was really nice having you out there. I felt you. And I know you'll listen, and I would like to hear from you.
You
I
don't have a share button? Do you know how to do it? I don't even know.
we'll talk about it later. Yeah, there's a share button. There's a
I don't know
sign
where it's
up for our join. I'll have to figure all that out. Please excuse us. We're just a couple old ladies trying to figure out the tech, but we'll figure it out.
yeah.
So, well, I'm going to say goodbye for now. I hear
All
my
right.
husband cooking in the background. I'm getting
Ooh,
hungry. Ooh.
okay.
Okay, much love and blessings and aloha to everybody. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye from Buda, Texas as well.
Right,
Bye
Buda,
bye.
Texas, and
Uh-huh.
outside of Austin, right? And Janet
Okay.
and Maui.
Okay, stay on your thing. Don't close it, and you'll
Oh
get your
yeah, it'll
download.
save it. I guess
Okay,
it keeps wrapping up on YouTube, right?
right. So
It
don't
goes to
close it.
YouTube, two of
Okay,
them.
goodbye for now. Aloha.